Hardpoints is back, episode 17. We had a crazy event this past weekend. A lot of crazy stuff happened at the Minnesota home series, and we don't really get a break. This is going to be like a double dip episode because guess what? There's another tournament this weekend coming up. So we haven't had to do this before on Hardpoints, but it's going to be pretty fun to talk about. We're going to go into detail on what happened at the Minnesota tournament this past weekend, and then go right back into it with our predictions for Paris and move on forward there to see who can take home that one. But we had high hopes for the Minnesota one coming into it, and I don't think it let down at all. I had a really good time watching the matches. So many Map 5 series. I don't know what it was for you guys. The broadcast days were super long, but the series were phenomenal. What did you guys think of the tournament so far, or overall?
Well, what was it? 8 out of 13 went 5 games.
Yeah.
It actually wasn't. The days weren't even that long considering all the 5-game series. I guess because we were just like getting in and out really quickly. But I thought we were gonna go. We had days where we went to like midnight Saturday or something. But there weren't that many tech delays Saturday or anything, and we kind of ripped through it. But Joe and I were just sad because we didn't get to partake in any of the game 5. But
I felt
It typically happens. I don't know why. It feels like a lot of the matches that are supposed to like go the distance at times, they just don't.
Yeah.
And then so, I don't know. I think just with sort of Gorillas playing as well as they did, Florida as well. Yeah, those are teams that they win by going game 5, and that's what they did. So crazy event though. Again, we keep touching on how like the competition keeps getting better and better, and I think that the last few home series show it.
Absolutely. Before we go into more detail, for those that just want a little bit of a recap of the placements, everything like that, I'm going to throw those on the screen for you, break those down. You can see first place right there, Florida, which was very surprisingly able to take that home. Awakening making his appearance there. FaZe end up in second place. Gorillas and Empire take home 3 and 4. 5 and 6 for the Surge and Huntsmen, and Rocker and Ultra at 7-8 right there. A CDL points update as well as we get closer and closer to the later half. Closer towards champs. FaZe still at the number 1 spot with 200 points. Huntsman at 2 with 190. Empire at 170. Florida making a jump with that victory, 150 now. Rocker at 120. They're looking kind of slow lately, but crazy updates there in terms of the points. You guys brought it up though. A bunch of crazy matches. We saw. I don't know. None of us predicted Florida to come home with the win. Our group predictions were, I would say, pretty solid. But
yeah, what did we get then? We got 3 out of 4, and then Clint only leads me by 1 now. I'm coming for you, Clint.
Well, yeah, I think I was 1 before this because we had the same. Yeah, I think you've been 1 back for a couple. But I think the craziest thing about this whole event is that we all felt pretty confident we'd finally sort of have a clear power ranking in the sense of like Empire versus FaZe and where Huntsmen were, and someone would get their 3rd tournament win, and then now we have 4 teams.
Florida was like, hello.
Now it's a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess. Like we have an email we have to fill out like right after each event, like before end of day, and it's like power rankings. And I was looking at it, I was like, I don't know. I just started plugging teams in. I had no idea what to do. It's just it's wild now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone expected Florida they beat Chicago, Dallas, and us too, right?
Yep,
they beat all 3. That's what I mean. I think that was the craziest part about that. It's not even like they got that like a bracket where they ended up just playing like us in the finals, and then there was like whatever. Like they beat every single team and made an absolute statement. So that's awesome too. Because right before that event, we were talking about, that was Awakening's first event, talking about how like with Mox being like a leader, see how they're gonna do. Is it going to affect them and whatnot? But obviously, it seemed to work really, really well for them. So I mean, I'm happy for them. Congrats. That was awesome.
It's nuts, and like it's always going to have an asterisk because it is online and the new format and everything. But like, if you removed all of that, like if this was online, I know it's not, but hypothetically, I guess I didn't think anyone was even going to be really in the conversation with Simp for best debut because his London stats were absurd. Like after that London event, we all kind of thought he was the best player in the game. Like, it was wild. Like he came out,
he was
the best KD at the event. Exactly. Yeah. Like it was absurd. I'd never seen anything like it. But like Awakening dropped to 1.15, which is godlike.
Yeah.
He beats the 3 top teams at his first ever event. Like it is one of the best debuts ever. And if it wasn't for the fact it's online, and I think there is a big conversation there because you guys have all experienced it, like the hardest part of the transition probably for like AM player to pro player is
playing on the stage.
The main stage and all of that. Like it is kind of just usually they come out and they don't do what Simp did. And there's a couple events that they get under their belt. Then finally they play it they're capable of, but he just was comfortable and did it. But it's crazy that like the combo even is happening. Like, is that the best debut of all time? Because he came out of nowhere for me. Like, absolutely just came out of nowhere for me. It's
I mean,
crazy.
you can't say that's the best debut of all time just because of what you just said. It was
No, but it's like it's in the combo kind of, which is crazy. Like,
I mean, it was awesome. I mean, I was super happy for him because I don't know much about him. None of us really did like too much, but to see someone come out and do that on their debut, that changes his life. I think that weekend right there changes his life. Done.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like,
absolutely.
I think that sets him up unless like something drastically goes wrong. Like he just made a statement right there, and that's really, really important for like amateur players and players coming up into the pro league to do stuff like that. So like I was super happy to see that. Like I love people like that to succeed, but to say that was the best debut is just tough just because that's not really his fault because all we have right now is online. That's not his choice. So I mean, but good for him, and hopefully he keeps it up because that's awesome to see like new players kind of break out and do things.
It's great to see. And I had this thought when I was watching and I saw them win and how dominant they looked. And again, it's a weird time. We're stuck on online. Modern Warfare isn't the greatest. But the thought came into my head is like, are we getting to the next era of pro players? Like, you see these roster changes happening. You see the young talent coming in. And for the most part, having really good success. Are we getting to that point?
I mean, yeah, even like Gorillas with Vivid, how well he played. Like he had like 12 plus. I don't know. We had the stat. It was insane where he had like double digits in like 4 out of 5 S&Ds or something. I just made that up like a Maven number, but it was something crazy. I think it was 5
out of 6. I think it was 5 out of 6.
5 out of 6. Yeah, like I mean, we could be. Yeah, I don't know how much I attributed of.
There's a lot of
5v5 because there's more slots. This game, I don't know, but we very well could just be to that point where these kids are, when what they were doing, like what we were doing when we were trying to become pro players was, I don't know, there was like a few YouTube videos out there in like COD 4 and we would try to mimic that, right? Like, we would try our best. Like, you gotta imagine these guys are, 14 through 16. Like they're watching Pro League, they're watching streams, and you're always going to have that conversation of like, not like generations, but up next. And these guys are watching it, they're perfecting that, and then they're adding their own little tricks, right? It's almost like different eras of like the NBA, right? Like I think now with like 3-point shooting, you never saw that 10 years ago. That was not really a thing. But yeah, it feels like because they've had the time to develop and learn so much. Like there is very much a set pathway of how do I become a pro player. Every single pro player that TeeP, Chris, that we played with, it was game battles to online tournaments to LANs. And that really hasn't changed much where you become a good game battles team. Then maybe you start playing some wager matches, right? Then maybe if you get good enough at that, you get some attention. People are like, those guys, they steal people's money. Then you start playing some online tournaments, winning those. And I mean, just think about like Simp, Dashy, Celium. They were all insane. They were all insane. They were all doing the same thing. And then they would go to locals and do really well. It was like a spectacle when some of these guys were showing up to their first local lands. So there's very much a pathway, and they're, I think, just developing quicker. So it was bound to happen because that pathway is set. There's very much a, how do I get from A to pro, if that makes sense.
That's like kind of like you're talking about how there was like this time and this build up and this character building type stuff. That's actually, it's a little bit of a different point, but that's one of the things that frustrates me the most about the limitations with COVID. One of the big negatives is like, at first I was frustrated because it became like, we have this new franchise league. We have 12 kind of new brands. Some were old. Yeah. But you have these brands that I feel like we haven't been able to build as well as you maybe could if we were on LAN and had a lot more potential for content. But now that kind of applies to these new young players. Like, because yes, we're going to be losing some all-time great personalities, and like you're with the Aches benched and people like that, like these kind of in with the new, out with the old. Karma, but like I feel like Karma. I feel like we don't have. It's really difficult to build these guys up right now just because of everything going on. And yes, part of it's on the teams, part of it's on the players, part of it's on the league, but it's frustrating because we need to build up these new guys, and I feel like we're losing a lot of potential with everything going on. But they'll get back to the norm next year and everything. But I was just thinking about that earlier. Like you have all these new guys coming in, and like, And even I don't know nearly as much as I want about some of these guys, and like we'd probably be doing so much more content around them if we could, but it's tough to do right now.
It's a great point to think about. We're losing some of the most storied players, people that have the biggest followings, people that actually pull numbers, and that matters a lot. And if this new wave of pros, whatever you want to call it, if that actually is happening, is it on the players? Is it on the league? Is it on the community? Like, who is going to be built up? Who's going to be, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but who's going to be the next scump, right?
Yeah, part of it just happens. Part of it's natural, part of it's hard work, but it'll happen. I just feel like it's sort of put on hold right now, which is what's tough.
Well, the big problem is, go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just gonna say, like, a lot of it just comes down to right now just being limited because of online.
Yeah.
Even if you're talking about in with the new, out with the old kind of thing, like if you're a pro player listening to this right now, obviously, like, every pro player is cringing hearing everything that you're saying, just because, like,
oh yeah,
at the end of the day, this is an online league, and at the end of the day, like 95, probably 99% of the pros think that most of the new players that come up that do really well online, like you use like Mac Melts right now as an example. That kid has been absolutely lights out since he's joined New York, and he is still yet to do it on land. Not his fault at all, and I'm not faulting that. And like you guys kind of know my mentality on that anyway. It's like I'm more or less like usually when they're really, really good online, yeah, they might struggle for an event or two, but they usually kind of get the swing of it, right? But until like you kind of prove that, that's like when a lot of people, it's hard to say like in with the new, out with the old kind of thing yet, just because performing on that stage is really, really important. And I know with the online league and it being limited and everything else, like it's kind of hard to just say like, oh, like Vivid's the next big thing until like you really, really see him do it. Like I give these kids credit personally, like myself. Like I'm not talking like this is not my opinion. I'm being like devil's advocate here. But you like being a pro player for years that has how many of these guys have been pros for a long time, right? And you have some players that come around and like talk a lot of smoke online. They're doing really, really good. You show up on land and you smoke them.
Well, it's weird.
Like you know how that goes. So it's like I'm not saying that's going to happen, but like a lot of the pros listening to this right now,
that's how they're feeling. So like, I mean, that's how I would feel if I was a pro. I'd be like,
exactly.
So see me on land.
They deserve to have that mentality. I don't mind them having that ego at all.
Yeah, and that's where you also have to look at it, like where like I want to build these new guys up, and I think it's fucking awesome that you're seeing all these new players kind of make a name for themselves, and usually most of them end up making a name for themselves. So like I'm not really worried about it, but until like it actually happens, that's like when you can really start questioning it. And right now we're just like not in a time to like really go that far with that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is they're gonna have to do it again.
Yep.
Whenever we get back to land,
which is tough.
I was gonna ask, is there more pressure in a weird way, kind of?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, now you're making a big name for yourself online. You got to do
it. If you don't live up to it, then you're screwed.
There is obviously the added factor of we're going to switch titles. Well, I mean, we assume we are, unless there's a delay. That would suck.
No,
but I mean, there's always that of all right, maybe they were just a really an MW kid, which that could very much be a thing. But I mean, when pros act the way they are, fans that follow them are thinking the same thing, or they're going to take like that mindset as well because they're a fan of Chicago or they're a fan of Dallas. So they're gonna have to prove themselves again. I feel bad. Even like there's still people. There are still people that are arguing against Shotzzy. Like still, it's excuse my language, fucking believable. Like that guy is gonna have to.
What's he got to do?
Prove himself again. Like, and you know what? Like some pros might play into it. Like he's really good online. Whatever. Just sort of just trash talking. But like they know. They all know that kid is special. Everybody who plays against him knows. But he's had to do it again. It's insane. It's crazy.
His argument's so like different because he is a 2-time world champion on a big stage already. I don't think nerves are his issue.
No, Chris. He's got to do it again. Hasn't done it on land ever before. Has not.
You're right.
He's never done it.
That's like the crazy part about him is just like he's already done it on stage.
And he won on land in COD. Like people forget that. Like
no, I know.
But he didn't play Chicago, so.
He's someone that I feel like you can't ignore him and just not give him credit. I feel like if you're doing it at that point, you're just a pure and simple hater. That's all it is. You're just hating on the kid for no reason. He's an incredible talent. He was in Halo.
Yeah.
He is in COD.
Anyways,
but next year will be interesting. It will be interesting with these young players.
That's why I brought up before. Like, it's the game. Is it this game or is it 5v5? I think 5v5 is the best thing that's ever happened to top AM players. If it was 4v4 in this franchise model, you think any of these dudes are getting a chance? Oh, no way. I don't think so. Maybe one or two.
Maybe a
not
few.
as much. The numbers are just not there. There's literally an extra spot on the team.
And Lord, I pray we go back to 4v4 every night before bed.
So do I. So do I.
Me too, brother. Hey, hallelujah, amen. Hey.
I think we all agree 4s was I don't know, more competitive, more fun to watch. I don't know. We'll see what happens though.
Just easier to fit. Another discussion, but easier to
watch.
Yeah,
5v5 is a mess, man.
That's a whole nother topic.
Let's not get into that. I got sidetracked. Okay, so we covered Florida. They looked so damn dominant. They take down all the big dogs to take it home. Awakening, a crazy debut. Right away gets chip. FaZe. Crowder, I'll let you take this one for as much as you want to go into. I know you weren't happy. Basically going down a lot, having to claw your way out of these series, not looking clean in respawns. What do you got to say?
I don't know, man, bro. I almost got fired, apparently, to everyone in the public, you know. It was crazy shit, bro. That was the funniest thing I've ever woken up to in my entire life. No, I mean, honestly, we suck. Like, it's just like we weren't playing. Like, you saw, I'm pretty sure you guys saw in players' performances.
Yeah.
We weren't very good, right? We weren't winning the gunfights we normally win. On top of that, though, like, not even gunfights wise, like the whole entire talk with like a lot of the casters, a lot of the fans and stuff were saying like how we're not rotating in hardpoint and whatnot. And we've been a very break heavy team all year, but like we were not rotating slightly like at all. And in scrims beforehand, like that wasn't an issue with us. And like we honestly showed up to the tournament. We were making a lot of mistakes that we normally don't do. Like we weren't planning on just never rotating, obviously. And then you saw in the finals, a couple things went wrong for us, but we were rotating, and then we were just losing the gunfights. Like things just weren't going well. We weren't playing our holds right.
It was reminded me of the other final years lost. Like, it was like the same.
It was a combination of mistakes that I can't really go into on the podcast for the sake of obviously my team's plan on how to play the game. I'm not going to go too far into that. But it was we were making a lot of mistakes. Our players admitted it. Like we talked about it right after that. As soon as that final was over, I went into the team speak. Obviously, we talked about it. We all admitted that. I mean, we can all individually play better, right? We can all individually do better as a person, as an individual, work harder, like et cetera, et cetera. We got champs around the corner. This is the time to get smoked, right? Mid-season, like towards the end of the season, like this is the time to get smoked and then realize like, hey, like let me like kick myself in the ass and actually start doing my fucking job. Like way more, like kick it up. So like at the end of all of this, like I was really hard on them, and they were really hard on themselves. They took it, and it with a 3-day turnaround, it's going to be tough. But like we're in a tough spot. But this was the best thing that could have happened to us. We got second place. I was getting tweeted. I woke up to almost getting fired apparently, and I got demoted. And Atlanta, some kid tweeted me telling me that Atlanta FaZe will never be able to win with you as a coach. And I was just sitting there like, well, shit, man. Like, I'm sorry you feel that way. I don't know. But like,
did they know what your record is as a coach?
Well, I mean, I like even defending I don't care about that. Even defending myself, like we did get second place. No, we were in the final. Which
worst is better than most.
Which
teams.
wasn't that bad. Like so, like I scary. As upset as I was and as terrible as we played, and I'll admit that, just like I admitted when we played in the finals, like we're in a rough spot, right? Like we were slumping. We're still not at our best, in my opinion, and we still did get second. So the way I view it is, hey, like we suck right now. We're gonna now absolutely kick it into overdrive for this next month or two until Champs comes in. All 5 of us are gonna play more Call of Duty. All 5 of us are gonna get better at Call of Duty. And then we're going to become a better team. If right now our worst is like struggling in the semis and second, like if we get better, I feel like there's only up from here, and we did get second. So like, hopefully we can obviously continue that goal to become the best team we can be. So like, I don't know. I feel like there was just a lot of like crazy assessments about our players and like me specifically, where it's just like, I don't know. I feel like obviously it did suck that we didn't play that well, but I mean, shit, like you can't like, we just didn't.
Here's one thing I saw. I knew you guys got broke on P2 Hackney twice, and you got second place.
Wait, you Awakening ran through warehouse, four-pieced us, ran through tires, and ran into fucking hill. I saw it.
I was mind blown.
Yeah,
I watched
like,
how does it like? It makes no sense to me at all. And you guys are still getting second place, and you, like weird shit like that's happening. I don't know.
That's what I mean. It's just right now we're not at the best we can be. We know that, and that happens in sports and esports and everything in life. You're not at your peak at every second of your time, and we know that. We are making mistakes on top of that, and when you have mistakes and poor play together, you lose. So I mean, we're gonna work our ass off, and we're gonna become the best team we can be, like a month and two down the line, and continue to do our thing. That's all it is. I think losing like that is a wake up call too. Like Priesta, I can say it openly for him, and he wouldn't care that I'm saying this. Like he knows he didn't play well, right? He knows he didn't have his best event. Yeah, and at the end we were laughing about it. He goes, "Bro, I got absolutely smoked this weekend." And we're laughing about it, but then like at the end of the day, it's a realization. Like, hey, like, all right, let's kick it in the overdrive again. Let's get back to my old ways. And losing is learning, and that's what it is. So I feel like that's the mindset you got to go into it, kick in the overdrive, and play the game.
Yeah. I'm going to read one thing. Atlanta FaZe, number 1, 200 points. Overall throughout the year, 18-3. I mean, that, like, people are going crazy. The two times we've really touched on Atlanta FaZe struggling is both grand final appearances. They lost to Dallas and Florida. And, like, it's just, people should be, like, in a way worried, because when we notice that, like, FaZe is not playing up to their strengths on broadcast, they're only gonna get better. And even at a weak point, they got to 2 grand finals. Where like we were literally like, Reese is not playing well, or the things that you guys typically do. There are 2 teams that I Clint, myself, maybe you can throw Minnesota and Florida in there, but there's still like 2 teams that really stick out to me that have tried to change the game, that have tried to like be a step ahead. Maybe 2 steps ahead, and that's Atlanta and Dallas to me. Like, I've watched them at their peaks and just been like, they just know what they're doing better. And teams are going to try to mimic that, as they always do. But if that continues to happen and you guys do play at that level, it's just a scary thought for the rest. It really is, because your weakest is a grand final. So that's crazy. And I will say, with online leagues, like, Priest, he's killing it content-wise. Like, nobody is blind to the fact that he's doing very well on Twitch. He's doing very well on YouTube. He's doing well with Warzone. And I think because you wake up, we know as streamers, wake up every day, like, that's like an instant gratification. So you chase it. You chase it a lot. And because they won the last event, maybe he focuses on that a little bit. But with, like, the online, I think even more, because you're not traveling to those events. I think it's even easier to get distracted with the way, Priest definitely has.
Oh, I mean, I can say this openly. We talked about playing less Warzone for everyone that's already thinking about. Not me, I'm playing that shit. But like, like that's because like I do that on my own time. But like on a serious note, though, for the players, like we talked about limiting that. We talked about playing more 10s. I think you've seen. I don't know if you've watched them, but the last 2 days that everyone's been playing 10s more. Like. We've talked about all of it. It's been talked about. It's been addressed. We're not oblivious to the fact that obviously, like, we can be better players and better people in general for that league. But the one thing I want to make a statement here before we go on, before this gets out of context and twisted. By no means am I saying that, like, oh, we're at our worst, like people should be scared kind of thing. Like, I absolutely give nothing but credit to Florida for beating us and for smoking us in the finals. Like, this was not a product of like, oh, like they only beat us because we're bad kind of thing. Like, no, like Florida played incredible.
Yeah.
Awakening played incredible. Their entire team, their coaching staff, their management, incredible job. Like that, there's no way in hell that I'm saying like all of this just to like defend myself and be like, we still got second. Like people should be not like, that's not what I'm saying. We got smoked. We weren't the better team and we need to be better. That's like just making that completely clear. Like I was very happy for Florida and that's what they deserve. So like all of that being said, like we just need to focus this next month and a half, 2 months and really start getting back on top of our A game. That's all I wanted to make it say. Like I feel you. Taking credit away.
Listen,
I wasn't saying anything else about
we can talk about you guys being good and another teams being good too. I think the top 4 teams are ahead right now. I totally understand. Like Florida looked fucking great, man. They really did. It looked like they had the missing piece. And when they struggled before, it was all about the flex, right? It just seemed like it wasn't strong enough. And Skies continues to be absolutely amazing.
Incredible. Yeah.
Pharaoh was flexing onto an M4, just playing at a really solid pace, laying out. Awakening comes in as a faster player too. He drops, what'd you say, Clint? A 1.15, like incredible. They seem to have like the piece that was making them a little bit inconsistent and slow at times. And that's not to put Mox down. That's not really his role. It never
That's his
has.
role, yeah.
Yeah, like it's not. It's just like that's the type of player he was. Just a slower AR type. It just didn't end up working out for how this game plays. But good points moving forward. You guys addressed a lot. I'm expecting you guys to look better. You guys have you've had like your ups and downs, but even your downs aren't even that bad. So it's like if you don't expect FaZe to be a dominant force moving forward, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm gonna bring up the bracket real quick. Obviously, we touched a lot on the finals teams. You can see right there, Florida wins the final 3-1 versus FaZe. Let's touch on some of the other teams now. We got Empire. Let's talk about Empire a little bit. It was a close series versus Florida in the semi. Played them close. Empire looked pretty good, to be honest. And I guess we could talk about Shotzzy too. The guy's nuts.
Yeah, I think I said, Joe, after Saturday, they might be my pick to win. Like, I know they got reverse swept by FaZe, but after casting their final series, they still look really good. I think they just ran into a hot Florida team, which caught everybody else as well. I don't have any concerns there. They're still one of the top teams in the game, but yeah, Shotzzy he's fun to watch, man. Like I'd full just on his POV the entire time we watched Empire. I'd be fine with that. Like he is nuts.
I think for me they still looked good. They just lost in a tough way. Like you go the distance against the team that ends up winning it, and that's about it. I mean, Florida was just a really good search team that weekend. And here's the thing: when you play that many searches, Hardpoint as well, but they've won so many clutch games that they needed to win. Teams are going to adjust. That's what's going to happen. Teams will adjust vetoes. Teams are going to focus on them. I still watch Dallas at times, and I was like, they just seemed more prepped than other teams. They seem to be on the same page. There's moments where they're spawn trapping teams in Hardpoint and in DOMs in ways that we typically haven't seen. And it feels like they're still strategically one of the best teams, and the talent is there.
Yeah, if you were like a Dallas fan, or if you're just spectating that, I don't think you really watched Dallas lose to Florida, and we're just like, oh my god, they're falling apart. Literally, they looked fine. They lost 2 hard points. Yeah, the hard points didn't look fine in my opinion. They did Florida looked really good, but just overall that entire weekend, Florida's hard point was really really good. So I just feel like Dallas didn't play that good, but they didn't look like anything crazy bad. I think they're still looking really really good, and they just had a tough series. We talk about this a lot, but I feel like people tend to forget this. A single elimination Call of Duty bracket on a Sunday, 4 teams left, anything can happen.
Yeah.
If you lose and you end up to the semifinals, you get 3rd, 4th, or 2nd, or 2nd here, and you lose a single elim, it's really not devastating. It's gonna happen unless you get 3-0 smoked, absolutely just embarrassed on the stage or something. It's tough. With this game sometimes too. I know you saw Krim tweet about the spawns on Ramaza, and that spawn was tough. They were spawning BS&D, and then they spawned out Rug. They were able to get that easy rotation. Things like that happen in MW all the time. So sometimes you're gonna show up and things might not just go your way. And also on top of that, you have a really, really hot Florida team playing very well. So I wouldn't be really worried if I was a Dallas fan. They still looked really good in my opinion. And honestly, overall, I still think they're just as good as they were. Honestly, I just think they didn't play as hot as they could have. And I think Florida, with the talent that they have, when they're playing good, they're incredible. So
hard fought map 5 single elim call on
round 11. You lost round 11.
Yeah.
Someone made a play call. Somebody was in a better spot. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It happens.
Empire. So I agree with you guys with what you guys are saying. Strategically, they look really good. All it takes is one more slightly better individual performance, and they make it to the final. Probably right. It's just the little things at that point. I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with moving forward. Still, no weaknesses really shown that are like notable. Moving on to Rocker. Unfortunate with the whole Alex situation, right? Like, arguably their most impactful player on the map with what he's been able to do as an SMG. It just comes at a really weird time because the team's tumbling downhill. You have to say it at this point. This isn't going to help. They've lost all their.
How long is the injury? Right.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder
when is he going to come back?
Yeah, he had like a 0.5 Friday too, so it was obviously he was fucked up. But like, I wonder if it's like because I know my left thumb just from sprinting a lot hurts me. I can't imagine if someone plays like tactical with slide canceling and everything. Like, dude, I don't know what control setting. Like, I can't imagine your right thumb. I feel like I need my left thumb replaced half the time. I can't imagine my right thumb if I was trying to play that way. So I don't know if it's hopefully it's not like surgery and it's just rest, but this game definitely takes its toll on your thumbs. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you play with me, Maven, all the time. Like, you see how much I slide cancel in Warzone, and I play tactical. I can tell you from personal experience, it's the most annoying mechanic of all time.
It has
like
to be
click like that. But I don't know. I kind of want more information, just like because I feel terrible because I've thought highly of Alex since I was playing against him when he was on Unilad, when he was first coming up in World War II and stuff. I just really hope it's nothing like super serious because of like him subbing himself out. Like, it has to be super painful, right? And like I've never had to really deal with any crazy injury on my thumb, but like I've known like one of my best friends in the scene, like Zuma. Remember when he got a surgery because he had the cyst on his wrist and like it was stopping his like thumb like movement. Like, I wonder if it's something as serious as that, or is it just like a temporary pain where like he honestly just couldn't play with at the time. Like, I really for his sake and for that team's sake, I really hope it's nothing super serious where it can get like fixed quickly because they were obviously kind of tumbling downhill. They weren't really like things kind of weren't looking in their favor anymore. They were like GodRx wasn't playing as well. Like we all talked about on the previous podcast, but this was like their time to turn it around. Just like us, like right now, like I openly said it, like my team's probably not at the best they can be right now. And this is the time for us to turn it around, but to lose Alex, who's arguably been one of the best sub players this entire year as well. Like he's one of the few subs that's putting up that 1.2 and up there with the big dogs. Like to lose him really hurts this team. And on top of that too, like you never want to see a player not be able to play due to an injury like that. That absolutely sucks. So hopefully
it's really
we
rare.
get more info on it. Yeah, it's rare. It's so rare. It's like shocking.
He has
Hopefully
like a
there's
month
more
off.
info.
Well, he has like a month off, which is good because they're not in Paris, right? And then we have 2 weeks off and then New York. So hopefully
there's no like surgery or anything.
They're at New York. So hopefully a month off and he's good. But even if but even I think about scrims and stuff, he has to take weeks off and they can't practice.
That's my point. Like for a team already in a kind of a downward spiral, now you can't practice as much. You assume, depending on how long it's going to take him to recover or whatever that process is. It's just like a lot of things stacking against them. But like you said, they have some time. So if they have time to bounce back, maybe a little break is what they need because how they looked before. To the the past month, I guess it's just lackluster for how good this team was. And what was it really them just being like having better teamwork? It had to have been more than that. I don't know. Like GodRx started to struggle more. Just a weird change.
Brian tweeted out like the week that their scrims were a lot better, like supposedly before Minnesota. And I guess the week up to when it was supposed to happen, so last weekend, he said like they were in their best form that he's seen. Like,
okay,
and I don't know if that's one of those things where he's just, I don't know, like he could be gassing a little bit as a coach, but I mean, he's obviously they have all the data of scrims and whatnot and how people are playing, but he was just like, if this was a week before, we probably would have been great.
That's fair.
So I don't know, just unlucky timing. But yeah, you hope the month break happens. And in the worst case scenario, Minnesota's put themselves, because they were as consistent as possible, in a solid place where they shouldn't be bottom 4 at champs. And at the end of the day, that's really what matters. Starting winners,
that's true.
You have a spot, right? You have a shot.
Yeah, really good point. So I mean, I don't want to like rip into him too much. Like obviously a sub comes in, Alex struggles on the Friday, like. You don't start off the tournament on a good note. Then you have to make a change. Just a a weird situation for them. But we wish the best for Alex. So a speedy recovery. Really rare to see an injury happen in esports and video games. So obviously it was bad enough to impact him where he legit couldn't even play. That's crazy. So I hope
that's the scary thing for me. It's just in esports you don't see an injury because of obviously it's not like super physical, obviously. But when there is an injury where you can't hold the controller and play, like it's got to be something like usually like kind of scary just to me. Like
dude, during jetpacks, because I clawed still, dude. I had like tendonitis like from my elbow all the way up into my wrist from clawing.
Jesus.
And legitimately, I couldn't like grip my controller because it was just tingling. Like it's definitely a thing.
That's why,
Hopefully, like with these orgs, players are being taken care of, like physical training, stuff like that, stretching. I don't know, but as deep as it could possibly go. Because for these orgs, you have to preserve your future. So they should be if they aren't. Like they 100% should be. You have to preserve your investment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wonder, again, I don't want to go too far down that whole topic, but like, I wonder, a lot of these younger guys, like, are they taking precautionary action for...
They need to. Listen to us old men.
Yeah, seriously. If you get... I doubt they listen to this, but if they do something.
Yeah.
Keep your hands, your wrists, your forearms, do what you can, because it'll start to eat away at you, especially in a game like Modern Warfare with the movement in this. That's the torture, straight up. It really reminds me of Advanced Warfare. The way you dash. You guys remember?
The way you click your stick
oh
in
my
over
God,
and over and over. Yeah.
Over and over and over. Crazy.
Both sticks.
Yeah.
Because you have to double sprint and then you have to slide.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Moving on now. Let's talk LA Gorillas, man. They look great. I was a big advocate, and I wasn't really sure as to why Saints or Lace wasn't playing. Sure enough, they bring Saints in for a struggling Spart, and sure enough, they look pretty damn good. They make it to a semi. Their S&D looked really good. It seemed like a team that, again, had the pieces.
It was just two finals teams, right? They lost to Florida and FaZe, right? Yeah.
It was just sort of what we talked about, where the home series before, all of them besides Spart had solid stats. Like they were winning all their searches. They won like 4 out of 5. And it was just, if they got some more firepower, could they carry that over? And they did this time. I will say, like, one of the more impressive things, and I know Clint was hard on him for a while, is Blast. Like Blast moving into the main AR role, he's been incredible. Like he's been probably their most consistent player ever switching over to that. He had a 1.17 this event, led the way. It's not like their stats were crazy, but they clutched up a lot more in respawns. And when it came down to the search and destroys, when it came down to the game 5s, that was their bread and butter. That's the thing. Just get to the game 5, right? That's gonna be the tough part for them, and will continue to be the story for them, because this team has a lights out search roster. You talk about Blast, Aqua, Decimate, now Vivid. They're known to be ridiculous at search.
Coaches too.
Yeah, Ricky Bevel's search. Let's just switch their name to LA S&Ds.
I think, just because they look so much better at search than everyone else. And remember last event where I think it was like everyone was like in just search specifically, everyone was like what, like a 1.2 to a 1.4 or something wild, and then Spart was like a 0.5. It was something crazy like that. Like Saints comes in 1.15, like all their search stats are unbelievable, but like they're so good at search, and I'm so confident when they're playing search they're going to beat people, that it feels like they're just now going to be a legitimate threat to steal series off people. Like it's going to happen. It's absolutely going to happen. Anyone could lose series to them.
And in a single elimination bracket, anything can happen. And that's why, like,
you get coin flip, you get a good hard point first. Like, who knows, man? Like,
that stuff's super important. And that's why, like, I think that Gorillas team having Saints to kind of add to that respawn a little bit, like that slaying power. And now that they're winning they have been winning their searches all year. It's just one of those teams that they'll never really not play a scrappy series for the most part. Yep. And that's like super important. And that's what takes you deep into tournaments. Like we relied heavily on our searches. Right? Yeah. We relied heavily on our searches too. That's what gets you far. People say it's the old saying, search wins you tournaments. They do. They help you out a lot.
It's like the opposite of what we always said for like let's say like an Optic Dynasty team or Complexity, whoever, like you're so good at Hardpoint, or you're so good at respawns, you seem to be 50-50 in search. It's like they just need to be like 50-50 in Hardpoint. Like they're so good at search now. They just need to be like 50-50 in Hardpoint.
Maybe 40%.
Yeah, like
it's gotta win one. They gotta win 1 of 3.
Yeah, if they can get around that, then maybe they can keep surprising people. But like they were so good at search and they were so fun to watch, and Vivid was so consistent. Like as soon as I saw them go to the game 5 with Huntsman, I was like, this is done. This is done. I no doubt in my mind. And we can talk about Huntsman's search later. That's a whole other beast
especially
too.
with how
like,
S&D looked.
Yeah, I knew it was done.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with you though, like the Optic Dynasty and stuff like that. Yeah, they just need to be 50-50 in search, but that's the difference between LA. Like if we're going to be like more critical on them, like they looked great, but like if they can get their respawn way better, then they can be like a threat to win a tournament, like way more, right? Like that's like the thing is they are still way better than they were. They're making way good, like so much progress, which is really, really good for them. But
at the right time.
Yeah, the difference between you talking about the Optic Dynasty and them right now is like right now we're talking about them stealing series and like they can go far in tournaments, but if they want to win, you can't just hopefully win both searches. So
I'm more it's just like the opposite conversation.
No, I know what you mean.
But you like to be on the other side of it because you got 3 respawns before you have 2
exactly.
Searches, right?
But
like,
at the same time, searches always keep you in tournaments super late. Like I said, my team they helped me. They helped our team out, and just in general, they've gotten way better. And hopefully, like they continue, so like everything goes well for them. But yeah, no, they had a really good showing with them. I was happy for them because they needed that. They needed a sign of life. Like for that team, and
I called it.
I
knew Saints coming in was gonna be good. I knew it.
Well, we all thought it. Like we all thought it throughout the year. Like why isn't one of their really, really good slayers not slaying in Hardpoint? But then obviously we didn't know the backstory of apparently benching themselves and stuff. But I think they got through all that now and they look good. So hopefully they keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So props to Gorillas. I feel like we're seeing a lot of teams step up at sort of the perfect time. This is when you want to trend upward over towards champs. So
definitely
taking the necessary steps. They're looking good. Let's see if they can clean up respawn and keep that S&D in top tier. Flipping the script, Huntsmen S&D was some of the worst things I've ever seen. Like, do you guys have stats pulled up by chance? One of you guys?
Here. This is one stat I had pulled up, and I wanted to have this for the end of the convo, but like I just have it in front of me, so I'm going to read it. But like this goes into the whole search thing. So I was looking through like game 5s and how teams are doing. If you take a look at like the top teams, you're like 6-1 if you're Atlanta, 3-2 is Dallas was okay. Florida's 5-2. Like they're solid records for game 5, right? Chicago's 2-4. So like they've just been, it like compounds the issues. Like they've just been, they're not winning those game 5s and they need to. The search has been, I mean, before or after Pristini, it's been kind of hit or miss. It felt like the ones they were getting bailed out of was like when, I don't know, Envoy would have crazy games. They just haven't.
Still a thing. Like their best search, I think Envoy had 12 kills. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
It doesn't feel like he needs to like hard carrier. They're not winning search sometimes. I know Formal, Scump, they've had their moments, but
not good.
Do either one of you have the stat page from the event? Like what was their S&D stats on the individual
RCD's 0.67 overall.
Okay.
Envoy had a 1.2, Formal had a 1.06, Pristini 0.63, and Scump 0.75.
So 3 people heavily struggling. The other 2 doing, Envoy doing really well. Formal around even. Interesting.
It almost just felt like to me, because even we touched on it, Clint, when we casted their first series as a team together, their search looked good. I wonder if like they're like, yeah, we had a solid search. We won the last event. We don't really need to put much time into it. And if there's one team that probably is going to put extra time into search and destroy, to me it just feels like it's going to be Chicago. They're not a team to me that just screams outworking their opponents. So that to me, it's sort of like a trap sometimes when you have that. Like maybe they just had a really good weekend, able to catch some teams off guard, and then sort of the next event. Like to me, there's always like that's happened a lot, especially when I played, where you focus so heavily on one game type, the other one
struggles.
Came down. The other one struggled.
Yeah.
So I don't know like what their practice was going into this, but didn't seem like they played much search before.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a problem.
you definitely wouldn't expect them to lose a series to Gorillas, but Clint, you said it too. Like when they were going into the map 5, it's like
I knew they lost.
Yeah, it was like here we go. Here we go.
And if you look at their like overall stats compared to the event they won, they're pretty damn similar. Like they're almost spot on. Like Formal went off, Scump had a good event, Pristini, sits around a 0.9. RC's and Envoy around a 1. Like it's actually really, really similar to the event they won. They just were really bad in search.
Well, they had a S&D event like that with Gunless too, if I remember correctly. I forget which episode and which tournament it was, but I remember I looked at the stats and I'm like, oh my god, like it was like 3 of them getting smoked in S&D. It was like, I swear it's mirror image. I forget which tournament it was off the top of my head. I have to go back and look, but I don't know if it's like if it's a preparation thing, like you said, like they're just spending so much time to make sure their respawn is good enough to beat the likes of the top 4, right? Or I guess the other 3. Maybe the time wasn't put in, or I don't know. Maybe it was just a bad S&D weekend again. But we have to talk about it because even though it's a new roster, a new guy slots in, we've seen the extreme weakness in another tournament somewhat recently, even though it wasn't Gunless. So
I did love to see when they lost, because I know we ragged on Florida when they won, like didn't even react that much. And sometimes when people lose, like the webcams, they sit there, but like Pristini was visibly so upset.
I remember that.
And
yeah.
I love that. Like just the passion from him and like how much he cares, dude. I fucking love Pristini. But he was just, it killed him. It killed him. And I just know he's gonna bust his ass for the next one. I mean, we know he's a passionate guy, emotional guy, but you get to see it in his face, man. That killed him.
Well, I mean, the last time Chicago struggled in their S&D, they turned it around. So, like, there's no reason why they can't just do it again. It's just like, how many times does it have to happen to where they're able to find a better balance? I don't know. Again, we don't have all the details, but like, they bounced back last time. How do they not pick up on those things? It can't just be a bad weekend again, right? Like, I don't know.
I still can't believe of like we thought we're finally getting FaZe Huntsmen. It's finally happening. And of all people, it's fucking Gorillas. Like, are you are you kidding me?
It's just
and
not
like
meant to be.
I'm not even saying that to knock Gorillas. Like they played
Well,
great.
It was Florida first. Florida beat them first.
Yeah, that's true. What are they? 0-3 versus Florida now? Yeah.
Kryptonite.
Well, Florida almost actually made them play us by beating them the first time, no?
Yeah, technically.
Florida actually helped them play us because they would end up playing
on the other side of the bracket.
Yeah, they would have been on the other side of the bracket. And then then Gorillas ended it. But yeah, that was just unfortunate, but I agree with what you guys said. I mean,
that's what it was. You're right.
I think what you said, TeeP's the best thing.
I thought they were in
that balance.
That was
Yeah.
They fixed it before. It's just like
that's why I'm not. I wouldn't be worried.
I fully expect teams to have dips in performances in specific modes. Like that's kind of normal. However, their dips in S&D they're going down into a pit and they look terrible. So like, how do you limit that? Like, I don't know.
My worry is that tournament they won still means shit to me. Like, I still don't know if they can beat FaZe, if they can beat Empire. We know they can't beat Florida. Like, they're probably. I mean, we have to have them. You're talking power rankings. I mean, they're 4th right now. Like, you have to have them 4th.
It's
just.
In what like the tournaments are showing is that like you have to be a good search team to win. Like, especially Modern Warfare. It's just like I think Chris has talked about a lot on this broadcast. Like, our podcast, a few plays here, someone sneaks by you, Hardpoints over, or Dom is over. You flip the spawns, that's it, and it's hard to be perfect. So I almost feel like search is probably a little bit easier to be more consistent at times.
Yeah,
than some respawns.
Well, that's because I think that plays into the whole coin flip thing and how most hardpoint maps or Dom maps have such a strong side. And like if you get the first half on Dom and go up 40 or 50, or
that's true.
You start coalition on like something like Hackney, like the coin, we keep seeing players talk about it, the coin flip being such a big deal. Like the only thing where I know the coin flip matters for it, but like for search at least, it's not. It's funny because we used to always talk about how I feel like years ago we talk about search and like, whether or not you're going to get defense or offense round 11 was such a big deal. Now that seems so trivial compared to like what might happen in response in this game.
That was boots.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. But like compared to like what might happen in respawn, I think you're kind of right. Like there's almost like less RNG. It feels like you can at least control search. So that's probably it's probably a big part of it in this game because it feels like every other.
I hate
event.
coin flips.
Someone tweeted about getting fucked by coin flips or fucked by spawns or fucked by this.
Well, it's just one of those things where we're also at the point with the league with how many talented teams they are. You have to be solid in all 3 game modes. If Florida FaZe, Empire, and even Chicago at times have shown us when they've won, they were good that weekend at all three.
How do you think
You just
FaZe got to the final not playing great? Because
They're Surge
they
team.
got bailed out because they're good in all modes. Like they
Right.
they scrape through series sometimes, but
something they got to get better at.
Good sides are stupid and coin flips are stupid.
No, they are, but like I didn't really think about that till now when Joe made that comment that it probably puts even more pressure on Search compared to most titles because of how it works in this game.
Yeah, but coin flips though, the coin flips don't bother me as much. The only thing that the coin flip bothers me right now is the semifinals.
Semi one's stupid.
That's all.
Semi one's
So
really stupid.
it all goes down to like I don't really care because I'm sure there's statistics. I'm pretty sure there is right now that Team A and Team B is actually like a 50-50 win rate. Like it doesn't really matter. But like I still think if you come out of the bracket 2-0 and the team that you're playing is 1-1,
You're one
you should be able to choose B or A.
Yeah.
Period. I just don't think there is an argument on that. And I'm so like because it just doesn't make much sense because it's weird enough. Like not Team A or Team B, it doesn't really decide the series in my opinion right now the way like things are going, but like it is 50-50, but I just feel like that just doesn't make sense in my mind. Like why? What is the point? That's what I've heard. But what is the point of winning 2 matches over one? Obviously, you're getting out of the pool, so yeah, it's easier. But like that also just gets weird with like brackets and other stuff of like if you do lose and then like another team loses on that side of the bracket, then you can like kind of see who you're playing thing. Like I just don't like it. I just feel like there should be some sort of advantage. Right, I feel like that should definitely be something.
Your only advantage is you're playing the team that lost one, so technically,
yeah, but like you know how that goes.
I don't understand why there's a coin flip there when there's just a very good reason for there not to be one.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. I just feel like you should have some sort of advantage in the finals. A coin flip, I don't care. Obviously, you both made it to the finals, but like for that one match at least, you should definitely have the upper hand. Because you performed in pool play when it mattered, or the bracket, the pools or whatever.
Yeah, I'll say it again. It's stupid.
Yeah.
So hopefully that gets revisited eventually.
Yeah. Same. Surge. So obviously we see Proto. They looked good, right? Like
I don't know, good. They look better. Whether it's the nothing to lose thing or the team right now, I mean, they look better than we've seen them most of the year. So I'm hoping they get better. I'll be honest, like the ship has sailed for me with Surge. I have no expectations for them this year, but they looked a bit better. And I think if I was a fan of Surge, I would feel a little bit positive that there's some good takeaways because all year, every single event, I don't think you've had a single positive takeaway to take from an event other than like Octane being good. There's been fucking nothing.
I'll be honest, I don't know if it's that positive. I really don't.
Well,
like
compared
game 5 round 11,
else,
I don't know what else there is today. Like game 5 round 11, sure. Like finally, you put together a solid series. You beat Minnesota with a sub. I don't think there's anything good to take away.
Even more so
there's zero
prior events. All right, okay.
Same Surge to me. Nothing.
Well, I mean, if you're a Surge fan right now, right, and you've been following Surge all year. I don't think you're really banking on any of these next couple of tournaments really meaning much to you. Like obviously seeding and stuff for champs is important, but at this point you're probably not getting like a really, really incredible seed. You can turn it around, yes, but I don't know. Their players don't seem very happy with the situations. Even like the shit that happened in our match kind of sucked for them. Like they just the whole entire thing was kind of ass. But in general, like you're kind of just hoping now, like with Proto, you saw a little bit better, like some signs of life. Like no, they didn't have too much time to practice yet. That like this is the team you want to like have like that run at champs. Like you want to just like really focus on like that like a month from now and like hopefully they get their shit together and do that. Like that's really what you're banking on. Like they're not gonna do anything crazy most likely in like these next few tournaments where like they win the next 3 or something. So like right now you just kind of want to focus on hopefully they're doing their thing and this individually getting better and then as a team getting better for that champs run. And honestly, the one thing that's a saving grace for them, like obviously Octane's really good, Slack's a veteran and all that, but Apathy has consistently done it like 3 years of having that one last hurrah at champs, no matter what his years looked like, he usually does it. So that's kind of like what you were hoping for them. I mean, that team still has it, but they're in a weird spot.
I'm just worried about firepower at the end of the day when all these rosters are getting better. Like I
see where you're coming from.
I think you can get it from Apathy, Octane, and like Slacked.
I think Proto played well though. I think Proto did
fine, but I
don't think he did like spectacular, but I think he did what he needs to do. I think him running a little bit faster on the map helps too.
You look at the overall stats for them. Their only player over a 1.0 is Octane. It's still it can't happen.
Yeah,
no, someone has to step up, and if they want to make a run of champs, like I could see them being the team. Like, can't wait to get on land. Like, let's show them we're world champs. Like, let's do this, and then like maybe they win a few rounds, but when they face a team that straight up has more talent than them, I don't see how this team beats them.
They should. My opinion is you split time 70-30 S&D respawn. Your respawn with this roster is just not going to be on the same level. Maybe that's mean of me to say. It's just not. Get as good and spend as much time and watch so many fucking VODs until your eyes bleed, until you figure it out. Because that's your chance. That's how you extend these series. That's how you go 1-1, maybe steal a Dom in a series. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what the formula is. Like, can they do it? I just don't think they're in a weird spot. The players aren't super stoked. You can study S&D and make considerable gains in it as a unit. Will they buy in though? I don't know. We'll see.
But it's also been a historically like Octane Slack.
Yeah, you're right.
Historically not strong search players.
I just think if they're gonna somehow make a run, a chance.
Oh, agreed. Yeah, agreed.
But but history.
or the next month, I would need to see more out of somebody like Pander. Like maybe Proto really helps Pander like really develop into a role where he becomes a much better player. But Octane straight up just needs help.
Yeah.
In this lane department. Just what it comes down to for me.
Last team to touch on for the Minnesota event is Ultra.
Toronto. Yeah.
So before we were speaking highly of their improvements. They were looking solid. I don't know if drama is the right word. The weird situation with Classic happens where they apparently didn't scrim. And then sure enough, we see what happens.
They didn't scrim.
They didn't scrim. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We saw what happened. Not practicing is not great because your team doesn't play well when you don't practice. Fun fact.
Yeah.
And practice without him. If you knew he's going to play the tournament, just play with him.
Well, yeah, it was a very weird thing because apparently the week, so like I don't know how many days, but the week before they did a lot of scrimming without Classic on their roster, and then they threw Classic back in, and it was the whole thing. Yeah, it was the whole thing where Classic's probably not happy about that, right?
No.
And I know the personal things on his side that I'm not going to talk about because that's not my place. But he went home for reasons, and when he was home, obviously he couldn't scrim with his team, and I'm sure he's not happy about that. I'm sure the players probably weren't even like super excited about that either, right? Like that's just kind of a weird vibe.
It doesn't make any fucking sense, Chris.
Yeah, so it's just, but like now there's rumors that he's benched. There's rumors that he's benched for this event now. And
wow.
So the thing is like it's weird because they did get shit on. They didn't play well, but after looking pretty good and then not scrimming for a week and then looking bad, I feel like to bench him, if this is true, this is a rumor, it just doesn't. I feel like he got set up, like in a weird way.
Oh, you tweeted that he got set up.
I don't know. It just feels weird to me because
let's walk through
if I was
what
a player, I would be mad if I was told I can't scrim with my team and then I did bad. Then even if I did bad or my team did bad and then I got kicked to the bench, I don't know.
Let's summarize.
Something seems off.
Toronto struggling. They find a situation that's working. They look better. They don't scrim because something happens. And then you bring the player back, which is basically setting the team and him up for failure, and then you bench him afterwards. How fucking stupid is that?
Yeah, I saw some of the
So here's my theory now that we're talking about this. Okay. Toronto, 10-man roster. They've been giving everybody chances.
Which they said they were going to do.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. So they get top 4. And after you get top 4, you can't really change your rosters because then you would just get criticized publicly.
Yeah.
So whatever happens with Nick, stupid. Okay, but whatever. They put Kleenex in. What it sounds like to me is that they really, whoever up top really wanted to see Kleenex play the tournament. So it sounds like they're like, you know what? We'll let Nick play in this tournament. Of course they're going to do bad because they haven't been able to practice. All momentum stopped. And guess what? They do bad. And now we're like, we can put Kleenex in because obviously the T4 was a fluke. So now, we can play with Kleenex. And I don't have a problem with Kleenex getting a shot.
Kleenex
We
is
saw
amazing, by
last
the way.
year
Yeah,
that
Kleenex
he is a very bright talent.
I'm excited
But
to see
the
him
fact
play.
is they set their own team up for failure. Their own team they set up for failure so that they could try these players out. That's what it seems like to me.
So you think
honestly.
management just had this ulterior motive?
Who knows?
I mean, with some of the rumors we heard, I hope so.
Yeah.
There could just be people who don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, there's probably a lot of people in
There's
management
no
positions
excuse.
people with a lot of these companies that like didn't come from Call of Duty backgrounds or are new to this. And dude, who knows? Who knows what idiots are involved with some of this stuff? But the whole thing is weird.
It's stinky. I will say that it is very stinky.
Dude, it just doesn't make sense. Like,
it makes
what?
absolutely no sense.
And like, your team loses out on potential points, which is extremely huge for seeding. And then Classic gets royally screwed out of it. And then he's put in a situation where he probably, if rumors do end up being true and he is benched, now he doesn't get a play for probably the rest of the year.
But he was probably their best player the weekend they got top 4.
And he's played well too this year too.
Right.
He hasn't been playing bad. Yeah.
You can't really point at him as being like
the reason.
The reason what, like, it just hurts my head.
It's a circus. It's the 10-man roster circus that we've been talking about.
We knew it was going to be a mess, and wow, look at that! It's a fucking mess. No way we could have predicted this when this happened. Oh my god.
On a positive note, I have been really excited to see Kleenex play.
Yeah.
With all these things that I'm excited to see Kleenex play too, because I think he's very good. Yeah. And I think if you ask any of the players too, like, Kleenex is a good player, so like he's in a good spot, but it just doesn't, to me, I just feel like Classic wasn't playing bad. And obviously I'm slightly biased knowing him and like my history with him, but like he hasn't been playing bad and he was just not really in a spot. Man, I can't go into this now.
He got set up. Yeah. He got top 4. They got the roster, and then they benched him for a week. So he literally got set up for failure. So Kleenex could come in and take that spot.
There's no way they could have succeeded. Like,
there's no way you could possibly scrim from another state.
Well, you mean like Toronto to New York? I don't know, dude. It's like really far. Bad ping.
Dude, I just, whether it's a management thing, something's weird, something's fishy, and
stinky.
And I don't like it. I don't like what's going on there. But we'll see what happens moving forward. Maybe we see Kleenex, maybe something else happens, who knows. But interesting to say the least. Let's move on. Kind of a joke as far as I'm concerned. That's going to do it for Minnesota. I think we covered enough on all the teams, their recent performances, how they looked, individuals, yada, yada, yada. But guess what? We have no breaks. We have another tournament that's coming up this weekend. I'm throwing up the Paris bracket. We're going to walk you guys through the groups for this next tournament coming up and probably give some quick predictions on who's going to make it out of the groups and the overall winner. Bang. Bracket up right there. Up on top, you can see Group A, Paris Legion, Florida Mutineers, Royal Ravens versus Empire on the bottom side of Group A. And then Group B, we have New York versus Optic, and then FaZe versus Ultra in the bottom part of Group B. I don't know where we want to start with this. We just want to go start with Group A, give some thoughts on the teams, how we think, I don't know, maybe how like the Royal Ravens are going to look. Paris is looking
I'm excited.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm excited to see London play again. Like, from the last event we saw them with Trey on the team. I am really excited to see them play again. They were fun to watch. Excited to see Zero back into it, and they have a very, very tough group with Mutineers and Empire there. I think we're going to learn a lot about this London team, and that's one of the things I have marked down for this group. I'm really,
I think
really
you're going
excited.
to learn a lot about the Florida team, though, too. Like,
True.
the issue with the Florida team before was one event, great, nice event, 0 points.
Literally
right?
that's how it's gone all year. It's good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. That's
So I mean, you would assume with the break that is very short that they'd be fine, but you just never know. Like with Empire and London, I think before Florida won, we'd probably say Empire and London would get out with how both of them were looking. But it's almost like, how much do you buy into the Florida hype? How good they looked.
Awakened by Awakening.
Oh,
Nice one.
Aha. Paris is screwed. I'll be honest with you.
I think so. I think so too.
They won Warzone weekend. They're good.
Recons. Yeah, I think Paris is kind of screwed too. I don't see how they're going to be able to stack up very well in this one. Shall we do predictions for Group A and then move on to Group B?
At least they're not flying. At least they're not flying to Paris to get smoked.
Looking on the bright side.
Yeah,
true. Look at you, bald dashy. Okay, let's do quick predictions before we start talking about Group B. I feel like we're gonna have similar answers for this one, but Joe, take it away.
Okay. So Mutineers are gonna win round 1. I think Dallas wins round 1 as well. The interesting part becomes the Dallas versus Florida rematch, and then I think that I'm going to go Dallas London.
Ooh, ballsy
I'm gonna
pick from Joe.
I wanted to do that.
I was wondering who was gonna pick London out of this.
I'm gonna buy into the trend.
Damn.
I think
the
that
good bad
London, they should play them. Well, I'm assuming they should play them to get out, and they were watching the entire weekend last weekend, and they're gonna prep for them, and I'm gonna go for it. Why not? I don't know. Just switch it up.
Yeah, I like that.
A lot of good teams.
A lot of good teams, definitely. It's not a bad pick at all. I mean, like they've been trending upward. Like, why not?
They got to a final.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna keep getting better. So I'm gonna
spicy
switch
start.
it up.
Crowder, go.
All right. I'm gonna go Dallas, just because I just feel like Dallas gets out of this. It's one of those things where Dallas still looks really good in my opinion. I think they're gonna get out of it. And man, I was actually thinking about going on London and just doing one of those things where I typically go like yeah, London, but like I wouldn't be surprised if Florida does it, like whatever. But like
this is crazy.
Like I don't
like Florida
cares,
looks so good, and
yeah, like this is just
crazy.
a tough ass group.
Yeah,
I'll go Florida. The reason why, like I understand the trend. They did that trend without Awakening. Now that they have Awakening, they beat Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta, which goes to say like that's a pretty big statement. Obviously, right now there's a side of things where you can say like, yeah, they were just hot. That's it. Or yeah, no, they're the real deal. I'm gonna go on the side of things where I think they're a little bit more the real deal. So if that it takes a lot to beat three teams like that in a row, in my opinion, and that was super eye opening for a lot of people. And I think I'm gonna give them the credit where it's deserved. I think London's an amazing team. They got second. I think they're even good against us in scrims, but I'm definitely gonna go with Florida. I think right now they're riding that momentum. There isn't a 2-week break to have that like
to play
that like
right
break
away.
where it's like, all right, let's suck now. Like no, they won 4 days ago. They're back.
This is the
I don't
dream.
know. Yeah.
So I was hoping
like when we won,
like,
I wish we had another event.
Yeah. I'm hoping that because London wasn't playing, they were very closely watching, and I still just think teams will figure out vetoes. You know, Florida's going to have some very strong maps, and we've seen that happen a lot of times in new rosters. And the same thing could be said for Florida. They could look at London and, all right, this is what their trend was that weekend, and veto those maps. So I don't know, but I'm just going with it.
Okay.
You know.
Plant.
Yeah, I'm going Mutineers Empire. I think the biggest thing for me, I mean, everyone already mirrored this stuff, but it's just a 4-day break. You're right back at it. And as much as there's a part of me that wants to take London, I think I'm finally a Mutineers believer. I think I'm a believer. This is gonna be more consistent. Yeah, I'm going Mutineers Empire.
That 4-day break thing is no joke too. Like when we won an event, there is nothing more than like when we won our Atlanta event. I wish we had a tournament the next week and the next week after that.
Yeah.
Like it's just
no. When you're in a rhythm like that and you're able to win, and like if you do end up winning like dominantly, you want to play for like the next day. It's like just keep it going.
Yeah. When you have an event where you're struggling in a certain game mode or something like that, that's when you want that 2-week break to be like, all right, let's not suck now. Let's kind of kick it into gear. But yeah,
totally.
For sure.
My turn. I'm gonna go Dallas, Florida as well. I think Dallas is going to beat Florida. I don't know. Honestly, like in this last tournament, their series was really close. They went down to the map 5, pretty tense situation. I think Empire still looked good enough where if these two played again, I think I'm gonna give it to. I feel like someone, whether it be Shotzzy or someone else stepping up individually, I'm gonna give it to Dallas, making it first out of the group, with Florida gonna be second. So I'm gonna go with those two. Group B, New York, LAOG, FaZe, and Ultra. That first match, man. I don't know.
Who's the first match?
New York versus OG. That's I don't know who's gonna win that one. I really don't. That's really a toss up for me.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to give the advantage to New York, but the thing with New York and OGLA is like OGLA has obviously showed their signs of struggle, and they've gotten way better, I think, with Slash running the main AR2 really well lately. I just feel like OGLA is like a complete team where like they are good at search. They are good like at Dom. Like you're not, I don't know. I feel like if they come out and play like their game, it's just such a hard team to kind of put out, where like New York, I think, is really, really good at hardpoint. But I think we've seen them struggle a little bit more in search and Dom. So in a best of 5 series, that's where you can really kind of get them. So I don't know. Like I would want to say New York there, but I see where you're coming from. It's just so tough, like with the Dom and search, like kind of struggling for New York. But they've had time to work on that, which is obviously that's the big part, right? Did they work on it? Is the real question. I don't know. I'm going New York, bro. I'm going New York for that one.
Okay. Let's just go
New York FaZe.
Take away with predictions then. We'll just hop right in. Obviously, your team's in the group too. So you think you took New York for the first match? Do you think they're gonna make it out?
Yeah. I think it's gonna be New York, and then I'm gonna say my team.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go New York FaZe.
Oh, okay. You're back. You've backed the New York squad a couple of times now.
I like them. I'm a fan of New York. I'm from New York. I like the players on New York. I like the coaches. I don't know. I like New York, but it's just my thing is that they have hardpoint pretty like down pretty well. And what we talked about, if they can just start being a little bit better at one of the 3 other modes that they're going to play, or 3 other games that they're going to play, they can go farther in these series. So I think they've had the time to work on search. I have no idea if they did. I have no idea if they've gotten any better at Dom, but if they have, like, they're there. They're like that. They're one step. So I don't know. I think if they've done that, I think they're there. So yeah, I'm gonna back New York again. I like that. I like them.
Yeah, good picks. Can't really argue with you. It's all great points. Go, Joe.
I mean, you're arguing against Slasher, and he's been playing.
I'm going OptiFace.
Yeah.
I'm going OptiFace. I think the S&D still worries me about New York, but it's also the last time we saw Optic, we didn't see the best Stashy. Slasher has obviously hit a really good form. He's going to have to carry that, but I think it was almost like you were too much relying on him. So I expect a better Dashy and a better Kenny. I just feel like they're the one team that like is quietly just like continually getting better. And the more time they play with Chino, the more time those guys get comfortable, I think they're going to continue to trend upward. And then FaZe, I just think FaZe should be able to get out. There's not really FaZe and New York have gone like a game 5. I think you see New York Optic twice. I think you see it round 1. I think you see it to move on.
I agree.
So
that's what should happen.
That's why I'm not too worried, right? That's why I'm not too worried. Like if Optic comes out and loses the first series to New York, I'm not too worried about it. because I think FaZe beats New York, and then when Optic, New York rematches, that's where I expect Optic to win.
Losing that first series doesn't matter as much because you play Toronto, and Toronto could upset. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But it's if you want a bounce back match, that's the one right now. Like, that's great. If you end up losing the round one, you need to build some momentum back. Go and bop Toronto real quick and losers. You never know what's gonna happen. We could be jinxing it. But Clint, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Kleenex should just come out and slap the snot out of you, but
that's true.
Who knows?
Nice one, Joe.
I'm gonna go Optic FaZe.
I like that.
My belief in Optic is going to continue, but no, I'm going Optic FaZe. But the big things, you already said it. But yeah, they're a good Dashy tournament away from making a run, maybe winning a tournament.
Yeah,
it's very true.
I think I'm on the same. I just know Dashy so well. The guy, I know he's gonna do it. It's a matter of when. He's gonna have a tournament where he's that guy. So go ahead.
And I just think, like, you know how like these little bickering arguments between like TJ and Dashy and Slasher, like those two versus Slasher have kind of come up. It's different when Slasher's not playing the way he is, but I almost feel like it has to like inspire them. Like, this dude is literally hard carrying you, and I think you just sort of sit there like, we gotta help this guy.
Yeah,
right.
Like it's a respect thing, straight
this
up.
guy in a way is like, yeah, he's an asshole, but damn, is he putting us on his back? Like, really, he really is. That's the point. Like, Slasher is at an insane level. Like, he is trying to make statements the last couple of home
series. Making them. He's making them.
Yes. And now
it's just
okay. You kind of just look at yourself, you TJ or Dashy and Kenny is just like, shit, dude. Like, we gotta help this guy out, bro. Like,
you guys are nuts.
And now it's I think it happens. Like, it's almost like the way he's played, I think it is a respecting. Like, all right, if he's putting in this effort and we know the type of guy he is, it's our turn to do so. So
yeah, to like counter my own argument with, like, by picking New York, but yeah, there's very few people that get that veteran or like that leadership kind of role or that like asshole role on the team. Usually it's your worst player, and like, but like in general, like, they're pretty smart. They're bringing a lot more to the team than just like that, right? Slasher is the guy that's pushing you, telling you suck, show up on time, do this, do that, do this, do that, and I'm gonna carry you while I'm doing it, and that's what he's been doing it, and like. That's something where you can't really argue, like, yeah, this guy's being mean to me, or yeah, like, this guy's annoying in scrims, but he is also having so many moments where he's keeping our tournaments alive. And to what you said about like Slasher needing to keep that form, he is going to keep that form. He always does, right? Like, when he hits the form, he keeps it. So that's a good point with these guys. Is like Kenny, Dashy, one of them. It's going to happen.
I'm just looking now at Seattle.
Like, I totally
Slash had a 1.34. Kenny had a 1, and then you had both TJ and Dashy at 0.91. And like, Chino can get better too. Like, Chino could absolutely start getting more comfortable. Like, you have 4 weeks off or whatever it may be, some more repetitions. Like, don't forget the fact that Chino hadn't played at a competitive level in a really long time. So
for sure,
I don't expect anything crazy from him. But if he could be a little bit better, maybe that makes like guys like Kenny and TJ's life a little easier. So it's just an upward thing for me.
I agree. I'm going FaZe OG. I think it's Chino's had enough time. We're gonna see, like, hopefully, like, his, I don't want to say like best, highest potential, but chances are he should be in the best spot that he's been on an individual level. Dashy underperformed. That the odds of that happening are pretty rare based on history. And then Tej needs to not get world starred, which has been kind of 50-50 throughout the season. and Kenny's been pretty damn average, which I haven't really expected. So I don't know. You guys agree with the Kenny comment? I feel like he's been average as hell for how good he is.
Kenny's been average for how good he is.
How good he is,
yeah. I guess
for
like
Kenny standards,
he has looked good because TJ has been so bad and Dashy was so inconsistent. Like, Kenny's like, no, I haven't really thought about him that much. Like, he's been good in my eyes, like, but yes, he hasn't been like Kenny MVP Kenny.
If you're comparing Kenny to Kenny, he's not doing as good as he could be. I think Kenny's better than what he's shown. And I think we all know that. I think he knows that.
Like 1.0, like it's just nothing really to talk about. And usually with Kenny,
I've almost forgot about him because of all the other issues and whatnot.
Yeah, same. It's weird.
He's been quiet.
I just think just with how tough the sub role is, I think that plays into it for me as well.
True.
Like it's very rare. Like one over a 1 and a 1 is like top 10 like subs. Like like your average is like a 0.95 right now for your sub.
Yeah.
Anything over a 1 is pretty damn good. So I just think the roll's tough.
Good point.
Not easy.
Yeah. Okay, so we have our picks to make it at groups. Now we have to pick overall winner. Clint, go.
Optic Gaming.
Oh, are you doing this? Are you doing this again?
I'm doing it. I haven't picked it to win an event yet. I'm picking Optic to win this event.
Okay, are we gonna forget about what you said at the start? They're gonna be the best.
Oh well, no. Yeah, but prediction wise, I haven't predicted them to win yet.
Fair enough. I see what you're saying.
I really
giving you a hard time.
Really, truly feel they should have and could have won the last event they played. They were a little inconsistent. Like Dashy kind of fell apart on Sunday. Like I think they've gotten to that point where I believe they can win a tournament, and I think this is going to be the one. Partially because I don't think. Usually I would pick FaZe in the event they're in, but they just looked very vulnerable. And
I don't think you pick us after.
We keep talking about the fact they have 4 days. Like there's not a lot of time to turn stuff around. Mutineers or Empire, I still feel good about, but I just have I don't know, got this weird feeling. I'm going Optic.
I like it.
I'm an idiot, but I'm going Optic.
I mean, I don't think you're that far off.
You're winning. They got
second at the last event they went to.
When I've watched them play lately, like I'm seeing a team that I feel they can do it. I do.
I love it. Okay, Clint with the Optic pick. Crowder has to take his team. Boring, but noted. Joe.
I've been thinking about this one. This is tough. I think I'm gonna go Dallas.
I thought you were gonna get Empire.
You really?
Yeah, I thought you were gonna get Empire.
I just
Florida and FaZe.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching Dallas last weekend. They played Florida the best in a game 5. Like they lost to FaZe in a game 5, but I don't know. I still think they're in form. They're in form, right? I don't know how much of an improvement FaZe can make. So I'm going to go Dallas.
I'm picking Dallas as well. I think Clint, your points about Optic make a lot of sense. I think they have a pretty good chance to maybe like win the group and be in a good spot to win. However, I think if they match up versus like, I don't know, like an Empire in the final, I don't think they're well enough put together to win. I think they have the talent for sure, but I think Empire is still in form, like Joe said. And I think like their Empire's S&D is good enough to go 50-50 and win them consistently, to go against an Optic. And I don't think Optics respawn. I don't think their Optics respawns are like.
You think Slasher's losing a single gunfight to Clay or Krim?
You think Shotzzy's not making Teej drop a 0.6 in current form? Sorry, Teej, I fucking love you, bro. But
no, I think if I wasn't just having this weird feeling about Optic, I think that I'd take Empire. Yeah, I think I would. So,
and honestly, I know like FaZe, they just got second. They played. FaZe looked like shit, and they still got second from just like gameplay stuff and like silly, like foolish mistakes that I was seeing in Hardpoints and things like that. So like, definitely would not be shocked to see FaZe just like win this one too.
No, I agree. That's what I almost went with. It's just like they beat Dallas. I think Florida just overperformed, and it wouldn't surprise me. I think they actually can make a lot of improvement in 4 days because they're talented enough. They're 100% talented enough.
Yeah, but not speaking as Crowder and not like the coach of FaZe. Like if you're going off that tournament and like how poorly we did look, we got second, but in 3-4 days, like how much do you actually turn around, right? So like that's like understandable to like go from that, like to use that argument against us.
Yeah.
I mean, but at the same time, like play a few 10 series and get a little bit of a little bit better of a Priesta, a little bit better of an Easy. Like everyone else kind of comes together. Like we can also obviously come out and be stronger, but it just depends. Like we have a lot to turn around in 4 days, and
you guys just never you guys never feel like you're out of the series. It doesn't matter the situation. You claw your way back in no matter what and make it.
The one thing they're good at being down 0-2 and not caring at all.
Yeah.
I went down. I mean, you've coached before, TeeP. Like I went into the call when we were down to I forget one of the teams. We were down to everybody that event, but we like one of the teams I forget now. And like literally, I go in and it says like user has joined your channel. You know.
Yeah.
And it's like quiet, and I go in there, and I'm never expecting any bad vibe at all from them, and I hear like a laugh out of Major Maniac, and he goes, "Don't worry, Crowder, we got this. Just leave." And then I left, and that was it. And I laughed, and I was like, "All right, boys, just stick to the rules that we made it, like we make for ourselves, and like blah blah blah." And like, but literally, he was just laughing. He's like, "Don't worry, bro, we're bringing this back like 3-0. Don't worry about it." And like, and then they did it. So it's like that's the one thing that's good about them is even when they are struggling, it doesn't really like get into their head. Like they're not getting frustrated where like they're playing worse because of it. Like they kind of just like stick to their game, and they know like they're very, very like self-aware of like, yeah, we need to get better, and yeah, we need to do this. But at the same time, like they have a lot of fun and they trust each other and they're confident at the end of the day. So that's like one thing that is really good about this team for being so young. It's like a really good thing that they have, like just in like their
dude, it's so hard to pick against them. Like I'm like questioning myself. Like I'm looking at the stats. Like Priest had a bad event, and Beast did. Cell didn't have the best. Like, dude, it is just so difficult to not say FaZe. It just really is.
I picked them every time they've been at the event.
Shit.
Yeah.
Like, like when I just look at the roster, I'm just like, it's so difficult not to pick them.
That's really more realistic. How much do you think they can turn around in 3 days?
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're picking on that. You're not really picking on what you just saw.
But you beat Dallas. I picked Dallas. You already beat them, and I like.
They've lost 3 series.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sticking with it. I'm
Yep.
sticking with Dallas too. I picked them for the last one. They could have done it. We'll see what happens though.
It's almost July. They've lost 3 series.
That's crazy. Stop talking. You're gonna make me switch.
Yeah.
Oh man. Alrighty. The Paris home series coming up this weekend, starting on Friday. Very excited to see how the gameplay keeps up. I thought watching this past weekend was phenomenal. The series were really close. I feel like we saw a lot better S&D for the most part too. That's what I was pretty excited about. I feel like I think a lot of it was because of LA Gorillas. I like a lot of the different variations of the strats that they have.
Fun to watch.
Yeah, I really liked watching their S&D. So shout out to those guys. But excited to see how this one plays out and to see who can take home the next championship. That's going to do it for this week's episode, guys. Make sure you guys sub to the YouTube channel. Follow all of our Twitch streams. We stream every single day. If you guys didn't know, come watch the BTB. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the tournament, and we'll see you next week for the next episode. Have a good one.
Bye.